The Galactic Federation's Supreme Assessment Chamber hadn't seen such activity in over 3 centuries. Holographic displays flickered across its crystalline walls, each showing different angles of a small blue planet spinning quietly in an unremarkable solar system. High Commissioner Zixtol, the most experienced planetary evaluator, stood before the Council of 13, their scaled appendages twitching with barely contained disdain. Honored Council, I present my findings on Solar System 274b, specifically its third planet, designated Earth. The dominant species calls themselves humans. Zixtol's voice resonated through the chamber. Their technological advancement barely registers on the Kardashev scale. They haven't even unified their planetary government. The council members shifted in their biomechanical seats, some emitting low frequencies of amusement. High Commander Vrelinx, leader of the Federation's expansion forces, leaned forward, his crystalline eyes reflecting the holographic displays. Then we proceed with standard acquisition protocols. Vrelinx's question carried an edge of anticipation. Zixtol hesitated, an unusual action that caught the council's attention. There is something unusual about these humans. They demonstrate remarkable adaptability and resilience that defies our traditional assessment metrics. The chamber's atmosphere shifted as Zixtol projected a series of historical images. In merely 2 centuries, they progressed from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary space exploration. They survived multiple near-extinction events, including self-inflicted nuclear conflicts. Their response to catastrophe is unprecedented. Council member Ethra, known for her cautious approach, raised a luminescent tendril. Elaborate on their unusual traits, evaluator. Their primary advantage isn't technological, it's psychological. Humans possess an almost irrational ability to persist against overwhelming odds. They thrive on challenges that would break other species. Our simulations consistently fail to predict their responses because they regularly achieve what our models deem impossible. Zixtol projected more data streams. They developed thousands of distinct cultures, each with unique problem-solving approaches. Their literature consistently imagines scenarios beyond their current capabilities, as if their minds exist partially in the future. They turn their weaknesses into strengths through what they call innovation. High Commander Vrelinx dismissed these concerns with a gesture. Primitive species often display interesting behavioral patterns. It doesn't change the outcome. With respect, Commander, Zixtol countered, I believe standard protocols may be insufficient. Observe their entertainment media. They've imagined and planned for extraterrestrial contact thousands of times. They've mentally rehearsed scenarios ranging from peaceful exchange to full-scale invasion. They're possibly the most prepared, uncontacted species we've encountered, despite their technological limitations. The council chambers filled with murmurs of disagreement. Council Leader Korth raised a hand for silence. Your recommendation, evaluator. Either we approach them as equals, despite their current development level, or we leave them untouched until they achieve spacefaring status naturally. Attempting to subjugate them through our standard methods would be unwise. Vrelinx rose from his seat, his massive frame casting shadows across the chamber floor. This is absurd. They have no energy shields, no quantum weapons, no faster-than-light travel. Their most advanced military units would fall to our basic peacekeeping forces. I refuse to grant special status to primitives based on their imagination. The council leader studied the holographic displays thoughtfully. Put it to a vote. Those in favor of standard acquisition protocols. Tentacles and appendages rose across the chamber. Zixtol watched with growing unease as the vote concluded, 11-2 in favor of standard acquisition. The motion carries, Korth announced. High Commander Vrelinx, you may proceed with standard protocols. Prepare your peacekeeping fleet. As the chamber began to empty, Zixtol approached Ethra, who had voted against the motion. They're making a grave mistake, aren't they? Ethra's bioluminescent patterns shifted to patterns of concern. Indeed, they see primitive technology and assume primitive capabilities. They forget that the most dangerous predators often appear harmless until it's too late. In the following days, as the Federation's peacekeeping fleet assembled in the outer reaches of their territory, Zixtal filed one final addendum to the Earth assessment. When dealing with humans, appearances are deceiving. They don't follow our rules of progression. They don't think like we do. And most importantly, they don't know when they're supposed to lose. The massive fleet departed for Earth, its commanders confident in their overwhelming superiority. But as Zixtal watched them go, an ancient human phrase they discovered during their research kept repeating in their mind: pride goes before a fall. The Federation was about to learn why humans had survived everything their harsh world had thrown at them. They were about to learn why Earth's history was written not by the strongest, but by the most determined. And they were about to learn, far too late, why Zixtal's warning should have been heeded. The invasion fleet's commanders might have reconsidered their mission had they understood one crucial detail. In all of human history, humanity had never faced a challenge they didn't eventually overcome. The Federation wasn't about to become the first. The Federation's peacekeeping fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their massive ships casting long shadows across the void. Admiral Krishek stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Dawn, watching as Earth grew from a pale blue dot to a vibrant sphere on their primary display. Status report, Krishek commanded, his cybernetic implants processing tactical data streams. Primitive orbital defenses detected, Admiral. Mostly surveillance satellites and debris. Their space stations are negligible. No energy shields detected, his tactical officer reported with evident boredom. Krishek nodded, following standard first contact protocols. Broadcast the surrender demands across all electromagnetic frequencies. Give them one planetary rotation to comply. The message was simple: submit to Federation authority or face immediate pacification. It was the same message that had brought 1,000 worlds into the Federation. None had ever successfully resisted. But Earth's response was anything but standard. Within hours, the humans had not only decoded their transmission, but had responded in perfect Federation standard, a feat that should have been impossible. The message came from someone called Director Chen of the United Earth Defense Council, an organization that, according to their intelligence, hadn't existed a day ago. We acknowledge your presence and decline your generous offer. Earth is not available for acquisition at this time. However, we welcome peaceful diplomatic relations between equals. The bridge crew exchanged confused glances. Krishek's mandibles clicked in annoyance. They're stalling, scanned for military movements. The results puzzled his crew. Human military units weren't massing for defense, they were dispersing. Orbital satellites were going dark. Ground-based installations seemed to be powering down. They're hiding, Krishek concluded confidently. Begin the first wave. Standard orbital bombardment pattern. The fleet's initial barrage was designed to destroy military infrastructure and demonstrate overwhelming force. Thousands of energy projectiles descended toward Earth's atmosphere. That's when everything went wrong. The dead satellites suddenly activated, revealing themselves as a network of electromagnetic pulse generators. A web of energy rippled across low orbit, catching the first wave of projectiles and scattering their energy harmlessly into space. Impossible, Krishek's tactical officer exclaimed. Their technology shouldn't be capable. An alert blared. Hundreds of small objects were launching from Earth's surface. The fleet's sensors classified them as primitive nuclear missiles, easily interceptable. Krishek ordered point defense systems to engage. But the missiles weren't targeting the fleet. Instead, they detonated in the upper atmosphere, creating a worldwide electromagnetic storm that played havoc with the fleet's sensitive instruments. Through the chaos, Earth broadcast again. As we said, we're not available for acquisition. This was your only warning shot. Krishek rage clicked his mandibles. Launch fighters, full planetary assault, show these primitives. His words cut off as new alerts screamed across the bridge. The fleet's automated systems were being hacked, not by advanced AI, but by thousands, then millions of simple programs, each trying different approaches. It was crude, inefficient, and overwhelming in its sheer volume. Their attacks made no sense, his cybersecurity chief wailed. They're using decades-old coding languages, quantum algorithms running on classical computers, repurposed gaming hardware networked together. We can't predict what they'll try next because they're not following any logical progression. Krzyzek watched in disbelief as human civilians, not military units, coordinated the defense through something called social media. They were adapting strategies from their entertainment, implementing theoretical concepts that technology shouldn't have supported, and somehow making it work. The humans had turned their entire planet into one massive, unpredictable defense system. They weren't fighting according to any military doctrine the Federation recognized. They were fighting like humans. Admiral, his second-in-command, reported grimly, "We're receiving transmissions from Earth in all Federation languages. They're broadcasting our tactical frequencies, shield modulations, and fleet formations." "How?" Krzyzek demanded. "Our systems are quantum encrypted." They figured it out by analyzing our first transmission. Something about pattern recognition and machine learning. "Sir, they're not just broadcasting to us. They're sending this data to every world in Federation space." Krzyzek felt a chill as he realized the implications. This wasn't just a defensive action. The humans were ensuring that even if the fleet succeeded, the Federation's military secrets would be compromised throughout known space. "Sir," another officer called out, "we're detecting unusual activity in their asteroid belt. Mining ships, they're redirecting asteroids." The humans hadn't just prepared for this moment. They had transformed their entire solar system into a weapon. Every piece of primitive technology, every outdated system, every inefficient approach suddenly revealed itself as part of an interlocking defensive strategy that no one had seen coming. As chaos engulfed his fleet, Krzyzek remembered Evaluator Sixtol's warning about human entertainment. He had dismissed their science fiction as mere fantasy. Now he realized those stories weren't just entertainment, they were preparation. For centuries, humans have been imagining this exact scenario, gaming out responses, theorizing solutions. They had turned their greatest weakness, their technological inferiority, into their greatest strength. The Federation's forces couldn't predict human strategies because humans weren't bound by conventional military logic. They were bound only by imagination, and in that realm, they had no equals. As his fleet struggled to maintain coherence under the multi-pronged assault, Krzyzek received one final message from Earth. Perhaps now would be a good time to discuss those diplomatic relations between equals. The Admiral looked at his tactical display, watching as his carefully orchestrated invasion plan descended into chaos, and realized this was only the beginning. The humans weren't fighting to survive, they were fighting to win, and they were just getting started. The Federation's Central Command hadn't experienced such chaos since its founding. Emergency signals flooded in from across the galaxy as Admiral Krzyzek's invasion force continued to broadcast their deteriorating situation. High Commander Vrelinks watched in mounting horror as centuries of military doctrine crumbled before human ingenuity. "Show me the latest battlefield analysis," Vrelinks commanded. The holographic display revealed a situation that defied conventional military logic. Humans weren't just fighting back, they were rewriting the rules of engagement with every passing hour. In orbit, civilian space agencies had repurposed their telescopes into targeting systems. Amateur astronomers worldwide formed a vast detection network, tracking Federation ship movements with startling accuracy. The humans' primitive nuclear submarines, thought harmless to advanced spacecraft, had become mobile EMP platforms, surfacing just long enough to fire pulses that disrupted Federation shield harmonics. But it was on the ground where human creativity truly shone. When Federation dropships attempted to establish beachheads, they found their landing zones transformed into improvised traps. In Death Valley, California, massive solar mirror arrays had been realigned to create zones of intense heat that played havoc with Federation thermal regulation systems. In the Amazon rainforest, locals had weaponized the ecosystem itself, using their knowledge of native species to create natural barriers that Federation sensors couldn't penetrate. Report from squad leader HFY in their region designated Australia, an aide announced. His entire unit has retreated after encountering what they describe as weaponized wildlife. Vrellings watch footage of Federation troops, among the most elite warriors in the galaxy, being driven back by coordinated attacks from Earth's fauna. Somehow, the humans had enlisted their planet's notoriously dangerous creatures as impromptu allies. But most disturbing was humanity's information warfare. They hadn't just decoded Federation communications. They were using the Federation's own technology against them in ways its designers had never imagined. Teenage hackers were reprogramming captured Federation equipment using jury-rigged interfaces cobbled together from gaming consoles. University physics departments worldwide were collaborating to exploit quantum vulnerabilities in Federation shields that even the Federation hadn't known existed. "Sir," his strategic advisor interrupted, "we're detecting a new phenomenon. The humans are adapting our technology." The display showed captured Federation weapons being dismantled, studied, and reconstructed with human modifications. They were crude by Federation standards, but devastatingly effective. Humans had taken Federation energy rifles, technically unusable by their physiology, and modified them with mechanical triggers and power supplies scrounged from electric vehicles. "How are they learning so quickly?" Vrellings demanded. "It's their knowledge-sharing networks, sir. They're using something called open-source development. Every discovery, every adaptation, every successful tactic is immediately shared globally. They're crowdsourcing warfare." In the European theater, Federation forces encountered another uniquely human innovation. Civilian car manufacturers have converted their assembly lines to produce simple but effective combat drones using Federation technology scavenged from downed ships. The designs weren't elegant, but they could be produced by the thousands. "Sir, we're receiving reports from the Asian continent. The humans are. They're using the entertainment industry against us." Vrellings watched in disbelief as human film studios deployed their special effects expertise to create massive holographic projections, confusing Federation targeting systems. Sound stages became weapons laboratories. Costume designers were adapting Federation combat suits for human use. Even their virtual reality gaming systems were being repurposed as training simulators for captured Federation equipment. But perhaps most remarkable was how humans had turned their divided nature into an advantage. Each culture, each nation, each community approached the problem differently, creating a defense that was impossibly diverse and adaptive. When one approach failed, three more took its place. "Commander," his aide's voice was hesitant, "we're detecting unusual activity in human population centers. They're celebrating." The displays showed scenes that chilled Vrellings to his core. Humans weren't cowering in fear. They were energized. Every small victory, every successful adaptation was met with cheers. Street artists painted murals of human triumph. Musicians composed battle anthems. The entertainment networks had switched to 24-hour coverage, turning the invasion into what they called reality television. "They're enjoying this," his strategic advisor realized with horror. "This isn't just survival for them. It's innovation, adaptation, overcome against all odds, everything their species thrives on." Vrellings remembered Zixtal's warning about human entertainment preparing them for this moment. Now he understood. Humans hadn't just imagined this scenario, they had been unconsciously preparing for it throughout their entire cultural development. Every story of aliens, every tale of invasion, every piece of science fiction had been a training simulation, preparing their minds for this moment. As if to emphasize his point, a new transmission cut across Federation frequencies. It was crude by their standards, but the message was clear. a compilation of scenes from human movies showing aliens being defeated, overlaid with a simple message: life imitates art. "Sir," his aide interrupted again, "the humans have given this conflict a name. They're calling it Independence Day." Vrelink felt a deep unease as he realized the truth. This wasn't just a resistance, it was becoming part of human culture. And if there was one thing the Federation's data on humans showed clearly, it was that their culture, once set in motion, was unstoppable. The Federation had wanted to show humans their place in the galaxy. Instead, humans were showing the Federation something far more important: why they had survived everything their harsh world had thrown at them, and why they would survive this too. As reports of more Federation casualties poured in, Vrelins realized they had made a catastrophic error. They had assumed technological superiority meant certain victory. But humans didn't believe in certain victory for anyone, and that made them more dangerous than any advanced civilization the Federation had ever encountered. The United Nations General Assembly Hall had never seen such activity. Where once political divisions had dominated, now stood a unified human response team. Representatives from every nation huddled around holographic displays showing Federation ship movements, their former differences forgotten in the face of a common threat. Dr. Sarah Chen, recently appointed as Earth's Chief Defense Coordinator, stood before the emergency session. The former quantum computing researcher had been chosen for her unique ability to bridge the gap between human innovation and alien technology. "The Federation made 3 critical mistakes," she announced, her voice steady despite the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. First, they assumed technological superiority guaranteed victory. Second, they expected us to fight conventionally. But their biggest mistake, they united us. The Assembly Hall's screens displayed real-time data from around the globe. In Silicon Valley, tech companies that had been bitter rivals days ago were now sharing patents and research openly. Indian software developers worked seamlessly with Chinese hardware engineers, coordinating through a hastily assembled global defense network. European aerospace firms collaborated with Russian defense contractors, pooling resources to reverse engineer captured Federation technology. Update from Project Prometheus, a young engineer announced. The International Quantum Computing Consortium has successfully mapped Federation shield frequencies. We're distributing the data to all resistance cells globally. What the Federation didn't understand was that humans had spent centuries preparing for this moment, not through advanced technology, but through something far more powerful: collective imagination. Every science fiction story, every alien invasion movie, every speculative novel had been a training scenario, teaching humanity to think beyond their technological limitations. In Tokyo, gaming companies had repurposed their servers into the world's largest distributed computing network, analyzing Federation combat patterns. Brazilian drone enthusiasts collaborated with Canadian aerospace engineers, developing swarm tactics that confused Federation targeting systems. African mobile payment networks were transformed into secure military communication channels that the Federation couldn't crack because they didn't understand the underlying social structures. Remarkable update from Antarctica. Another coordinator reported. The international research stations have modified their atmospheric monitoring equipment into a Federation ship detection grid. They're calling it Project Penguin. The human response wasn't just military, it was cultural. Street artists in Mexico City created massive murals that doubled as camouflage patterns, disrupting Federation optical sensors. Indigenous tribes worldwide shared generations of survival knowledge, teaching others how to fight asymmetrically against superior forces. Even children contributed, with their video game experiences surprisingly relevant to operating reprogrammed Federation drones. Report from the International Space Station came another update. The joint mission crew has successfully adapted their zero-gravity construction techniques to disable Federation ship engines. They're calling it Operation Spider Web. Dr. Chen smiled at humanity's endless capacity for naming things, even in crisis. It was another trait the Federation hadn't counted on: humans' ability to maintain their identity, their humor, their creativity even in the darkest hours. In the Arabian desert, solar farm operators had developed ways to use their arrays as massive signal mirrors, coordinating resistance movements through simple reflected light patterns that Federation sensors dismissed as environmental noise. Native American tribes shared traditional smoke signal techniques, creating a backup communication network that the Federation couldn't detect because they didn't know to look for it. Update from Operation Prometheus, the quantum computing team reported. We've cracked their AI security protocols. They're too perfect, too logical. We introduced human irrationality into their systems. They're falling apart trying to find patterns that don't exist. The Federation's perfectly ordered military machine was being undone by human chaos theory in action. Their ship's AAs, programmed for optimal efficiency, crashed when faced with deliberately inefficient human tactics. Their quantum computers, designed to find perfect solutions, failed when humans intentionally implemented imperfect ones. Message from the Cultural Division, another coordinator announced. Global entertainment networks are now broadcasting what they're calling invasion survival tips, mixing practical defense information with cultural morale boosting. Federation ships are picking up everything from resistance instructions hidden in pop music to combat tactics embedded in children's cartoons. Dr. Chen watched as humanity's greatest strength emerged, not the ability to overpower, but to adapt, to transform, to turn seemingly random elements into coordinated response. Every human achievement, from the wheel to the internet, had come not from following established paths, but from creating new ones. New development from the International Scientific Coalition came another report. They found a way to use our planet's magnetic field to disrupt Federation targeting systems. They're calling it Operation Aurora. In orbit, Federation ships faced a planet that refused to follow their rules of warfare. Their sensors, designed to detect advanced energy weapons, were blind to the countless small innovations humans deployed. Their battle computers, programmed for spacecraft combat, couldn't track thousands of modified consumer drones attacking from every direction. Final confirmation, Dr. Chen announced to the Assembly. Every Federation attempt to establish a planetary foothold has failed. Their ground forces are in retreat. The orbital fleet is in disarray. But now comes the critical moment. We must decide how to use this advantage. The hall fell silent. They all knew what she meant. Humanity had the capability now to do more than just defend. They could strike back. The question was, should they? And if so, how? As if reading their thoughts, a final message appeared on the main screen, intercepted from Federation Command. How do you defeat an enemy that turns everything, even defeat itself, into a weapon? The answer, as the Federation was learning, was simple: you don't. You either make peace with them, or you become another chapter in their history of overcoming impossible odds. The question was, which would the Federation choose? The Federation's Supreme War Council gathered in emergency session, their normally pristine chamber now cluttered with holographic displays showing their unraveling invasion. High Commander Vrelinx faced the harsh scrutiny of his peers as Earth's latest counteroffensive unfolded before them. Impossible, one council member whispered, watching as yet another Federation battlegroup fell into chaos. They're using our own quantum entanglement networks against us. The humans had done the unthinkable. Instead of trying to match Federation technology, they had found ways to manipulate it, introducing controlled chaos into systems designed for perfect order. Their attacks weren't just damaging Federation ships, they were undermining the very foundations of Federation military doctrine. In Earth's orbit, the situation had become critical. Federation ships found themselves tangled in what humans called a digital guerrilla war. Every time their systems adapted to one form of attack, humans launched 3 more from unexpected directions. Their perfect quantum networks were being corrupted by what humans called fuzzy logic, intentionally imperfect calculations that created cascading errors in Federation targeting systems. New development, an aide announced. The humans have launched something they're calling Project Babel. The Council watched in disbelief as human linguists and cryptographers worldwide collaborated to create an ever-evolving communication system that Federation AI couldn't crack. They weren't just using different codes, they were inventing new languages in real time, blending Earth's countless dialects with mathematical concepts in ways that made Federation translation matrices crash. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source: human children. So, we're detecting unusual patterns in their global network, a technical analyst reported. They're using their gaming systems to control our drones. The Council stared as footage showed teenagers coordinating drone swarms using modified gaming controllers. Their experience with virtual reality and multiplayer games had given them an intuitive understanding of three-dimensional combat that Federation pilots, trained in traditional warfare, couldn't match. Dr. Chen's voice cut across Federation frequencies, her message translated into perfect Federation standard. We understand now why you underestimated us. You looked at our technology and saw primitives. You should have looked at our adaptability and seen survivors. As if to emphasize her point, new alerts flashed across the Council chamber. Humans had found a way to transform their planet's ionosphere into a massive electromagnetic weapon. They weren't just defending Earth anymore, they were weaponizing it. Report from the Antarctic Theater, another aide announced. The humans they've modified their weather monitoring stations. They're using them to create targeted electromagnetic storms. The Council watched as Federation ships, their shields designed to repel energy weapons, found themselves battered by artificially induced weather patterns. Humans had turned their understanding of their own planet's systems into a weapon that no Federation engineer had ever considered possible. But the most devastating development came from what humans called Operation Legacy. They're broadcasting our tactical data to every civilization in Federation space, a security officer reported, their voice trembling. Not just our military capabilities, they're exposing our economic vulnerabilities, our political weaknesses. They're not just fighting our ships, they're undermining our entire power structure. The humans had realized something profound. In a society built on perfect order, controlled chaos was the ultimate weapon. They weren't just resisting occupation, they were threatening the very foundations of Federation authority. In the heart of Federation space, subject worlds were already beginning to stir. If humans could resist with inferior technology, what could others achieve? The political implications were staggering. New transmission from Earth, an aide announced. They're calling it their final offer. Dr. Chen's image appeared before the Council. We are transmitting coordinates for a neutral meeting ground. Come as equals, and we will show you why cooperation is better than conquest. Come as conquerors again, she smiled. Well, we've already shown you how that ends. The Council chamber erupted in debate. Some demanded escalation, calling for deployment of planet-killing weapons. Others urged immediate withdrawal before humans could spread more Federation secrets. But evaluator Zixtol, watching from the shadows, saw something none of them had yet realized. The humans hadn't just defeated a Federation invasion, they had changed the rules of galactic politics forever. In demonstrating how a technologically inferior species could resist through innovation and adaptation, they had shown every world in the Federation an alternative to blind submission. We must vote, the Council leader announced. Do we escalate, withdraw, or negotiate? As the debate raged, another transmission from Earth appeared, a simple message playing on loop across every Federation channel. The choice is yours. But remember, everything you've seen so far, that was just us defending our home. Imagine what humanity could achieve if we decided to take the fight to you. The Council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humans hadn't just proven themselves capable of defending Earth, they had demonstrated the potential to revolutionize warfare itself. Their chaotic innovation, their ability to unite and adapt, their talent for turning weakness into strength, these weren't just tactics. They were a new form of power that the Federation's ordered society had never encountered. The vote, when it came, was unanimous. For the first time in Federation history, they would negotiate with a species that had not yet achieved faster-than-light travel. As the Council drafted their response, Zixtal permitted himself a small smile. The Federation had wanted to teach humans their place in the galaxy. Instead, humans had taught the Federation something far more valuable: that true power lies not in technology, but in the ability to adapt, to innovate, and to unite in the face of overwhelming odds. The galaxy would never be the same. The Singapore Space Center, hastily converted into Earth's first interstellar diplomatic facility, hummed with anticipation. 1 year had passed since the Federation's failed invasion, and the galaxy had changed more in those 12 months than in the previous millennium. Dr. Chen stood at the observation deck, watching as Federation diplomatic vessels descended through Earth's atmosphere, not as conquerors, but as equals. Below, the gleaming city's skyline served as a testament to humanity's resilience, its structures now seamlessly blending Earth architecture with adapted Federation technology. Final preparations for the Galactic Concordat signing are complete, her aide reported. Representatives from 300 former Federation worlds are in attendance. The aftermath of Earth's successful defense had triggered what historians were already calling the human revolution across the galaxy. The Federation's perfect order had given way to a new paradigm, one that valued innovation over tradition, adaptation over stability. Update from the Cultural Exchange Initiative, another coordinator announced. 17 Federation worlds have already adopted human educational models, particularly our emphasis on creative problem-solving. The Federation's greatest fear had come true, but not in the way they'd expected. Humanity hadn't destroyed their empire through force, they had transformed it through ideas. The concept that technological superiority didn't guarantee victory had spread like wildfire through subjugated worlds, leading to a peaceful but profound reformation of galactic society. Message from the Technology Integration Committee came another report. The hybrid drives are ready for testing. This was perhaps humanity's most significant contribution, teaching the galaxy that true advancement came not from perfecting existing systems, but from combining different approaches in unexpected ways. Earth's scientists had shown that Federation technology, merged with human ingenuity, could achieve things neither civilization had thought possible. In orbit, the first fruits of this collaboration were visible. Ships of human design incorporating Federation technology patrolled alongside Federation vessels modified with human innovations. Each enhanced the other's capabilities in ways that would have seemed impossible a year ago. Interesting report from the Galactic University Network, an education liaison noted. Federation students are particularly fascinated by human history. They can't comprehend how a species could advance through so many different political systems, technologies, and cultures while maintaining its identity. Dr. Chen smiled. The Federation was learning that humanity's greatest strength had never been their technology or their military might. It had been their diversity, their adaptability, their ability to maintain unity despite their differences. The main display showed scenes from across the galaxy. Federation worlds were experiencing their own cultural renaissances, inspired by Earth's example. Art forms blended across species barriers. Music from 1,000 worlds played on human streaming services. Federation children played human games, while human children learned Federation sciences. Update from the Deep Space Initiative, a Space Command officer reported. The first human-designed quantum tunneling probes are ready for launch. Federation engineers are still trying to understand how we simplified their complexity algorithms. This was the final proof of humanity's impact. They hadn't just adapted Federation technology, they had improved it. By approaching problems without preconceptions about what was supposed to be possible, humans had found solutions that had eluded Federation scientists for centuries. High Commissioner Zixtal, now Earth's primary diplomatic liaison, approached Dr. Chen. The Federation Council has approved the final draft of the Concordat. You've changed everything we thought we knew about civilization's progress. We didn't change it, Chen replied. We just showed you a different path. The galaxy was ready for change. It just needed someone to prove that the impossible was possible. The main chamber of the Space Center had been transformed into a gathering hall that would have been unimaginable a year ago. Federation officials mingled with human diplomats. Alien children watched in fascination as human children taught them to play with simple toys. Scientists from 100 worlds shared ideas with the easy confidence of equals. Message from the Concordat Committee, an aide announced. The new charter is ready for signing. The Federation of Worlds will become the Galactic Alliance, with Earth holding a founding seat on the Council. As the delegates gathered for the historic moment, Dr. Chen reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity had faced invasion and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. They had shown the galaxy that true strength lay not in domination, but in adaptation, innovation, and unity. Final message from the Federation, the Alliance flagship, her aide reported with a smile. They're asking permission to implement what they're calling the human protocols across their fleet: creative problem-solving, adaptive tactics, and cooperative strategy. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The very qualities that had made humanity seem primitive to the Federation had become the foundation of a new galactic order. Their chaotic approach to problem-solving, their inefficient diversity of ideas, their primitive ability to function without perfect order, these had become the most sought-after qualities in the galaxy. As the Concordat signing began, a final transmission came in from deep space, where human and Federation ships were already exploring together. We found something unexpected out here. We need both human intuition and Federation technology to understand it. Permission to proceed with joint investigation. Dr. Chen's answer summed up humanity's new role in the galaxy. Permission granted. After all, unexpected is where humans do their best work. The galaxy had wanted to teach humanity its place. Instead, humanity had taught the galaxy that there was always another way, always another possibility, always hope for something better. And that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all. The stars had trembled before humanity's defiance. Now they beckoned with the promise of adventures yet to come, in a galaxy forever changed by the species that refused to accept impossible odds. The end was just the beginning.